Hi. It's me, Dr. KT, and welcome to ODDDUCKSCIENCE. Now, quick fact about me. I have 13 nieces and nephews. I know. And I started noticing that a couple of them were having peanut allergies in the late 90s, early 2000s. And I had never heard of having a peanut allergy because that wasn't something that I remember growing up as. I don't remember anyone having any allergies in my classroom. Now, as I began to dig into the research and try to figure out what was going on during that time period, especially with what I just experienced with my godson, I found that in 1995, there was a recognition of this huge surge of peanut allergies. And of course, you all know the media got involved, as they always do. The surges lasted from about 1997 to about 2008. And during that time, we saw the amount of peanut allergies triple. So the media was doing what it always does. It started probing for answers. It started probing for questions. And all types of theories were popping up. Some scientific, some not. That's not unusual because everyone's running with this new news story and trying to get the best answers as quick as they can. So then parents started getting involved and they started to ask questions, and rightfully so. And they went to the American Association of Pediatrics and asked simply, what should we do? How should we prevent these allergies, and what is causing this? Well, being pressed by parents and the news, and instead of just saying, we don't know because we don't have all the research, what the American Association of Pediatrics did was follow what the UK was doing, which was the United Kingdom. And they had a recommendation in place that mothers should avoid peanuts during pregnancy, during lactation, and of course breastfeeding, and that kids should avoid peanuts until the age of 3. Yet there wasn't a whole lot of sound science supporting this. And it makes me wonder, what would have happened if people just said, I don't know, it's too early to suggest. We're seeing the surge just like you. But I believe people are always afraid of saying, I don't know. And because of this, what did we start? We went into overkill. We started seeing peanut-free tables at schools. I know I saw it at my niece's school. You could no longer bring in those good old-fashioned home-baked goods. What had to come in was previously packaged items from the grocery store that had labels that stated it was made with peanuts, may have a trace of peanuts, or in 2004, we even saw more labeling that was mandated that had to say, hey, this was made in a facility with peanuts. Now, you all know time has gone by, and so I was still curious about it after this past weekend, and I was like, have they figured out what has happened? Now, what scientists have suggested is 4 reasons that there was a surge in this increase. The first one, they said maybe it's the way that we are preparing peanuts. For a long time, peanuts were boiled here in the United States, and that was a less allergic way because what would happen is the heat would start to alter the protein, so you would be less reactive to whatever allergy was causing. But then somewhere along the line, we switched to roasted peanuts. And it is a thought that roasted peanuts create more of an allergic reaction. And if you look at the continent of Asia and the continent of Africa, there's a very, very small percentage of people with peanut allergies. And usually because peanuts are prepared in stews and different type of dishes where it's really cooked all the way down, which eliminates most of the allergic properties. Now, the second thought is that the recommendation from the AAP to delay the oral consumption of peanut proteins, that has something to do with it. We were not exposing the kids to the peanuts, and we were keeping them away, and that caused the allergy to grow even more. The third thought, which I think is weird the way that they cite it, they said a result of daily bathing. Now come on, we were bathing before the late 2000s. I think what they mean is the increase of antibacterial soap and sprays. We start putting it inside of our pocketbooks and having it much more accessible. Now the fourth one kind of gives me some pause because it may be plausible. And some of the conspiracy theories are saying it's because there was an increase in the frequency of vaccinations. And I'm like, Let me dig in and find some more. One thing that has me interested is in the change in the vaccine pertussis. The vaccine against whooping cough, called Tdap. Most kids get Tdap before they start back to school. Now, before 1992, everyone was getting the Tdap shot with a full or whole cell bacteria. In 1992, they switched to something called acellular, where it only contained purified pieces. So I wonder if that was the change, because one is supposed to be less reactive than the other. But now when you look at the science, we're seeing that the peanut allergies are starting to plummet. What we can say about this, the American Association of Pediatrics decided to go back and reverse their decision in 2017. They said, please eat peanuts. Give them to the kids in small amounts early on and take it during pregnancy. Now let's get into the 3 Ds, my favorite part. The first D, what is going on? Let's decode the science. In the early 1990s, 2000s, there was an explosion of allergies for peanuts in kids. And we really don't know the reason. There's several different causes. The second D, diversify. How does this affect me? How does this affect my community? Listen, y'all, science is always evolving and it's always changing. And we're trying to do the best that we have with the info we have. In my Mariah voice, I'm trying to do the best thing with what I got. And in that, there is so much power in saying, I don't know. Because when you can say, I don't know, what it gives room for is for you to have the ability to do some research and to figure it out. When we rush to conclusions, sometimes we make the situation worse than it was, or we have extrapolated and caused much more harm. A lot of the pediatricians that went along with that recommendation actually have stated, we made it worse. We made it triple by delaying the exposure of something naturally that the kids would come in contact with. We pushed it so far out and kept them pretty much peanut or sterile free from peanut that the body didn't do what it's supposed to do, which is to normally react. Now, third D, dazzle. I'm not saying peanut allergies do not exist. My niece, one of my nieces, still has a peanut allergy. What I'm saying is that yes, the surges have gone down, but it's because we've gotten better science, we've gotten more information, and so what I always am going to say is to do your own research. That's what I do here, to make sure that you get all the information that I can find so you can make the best decision for you and your family, okay? So that's how you're gonna put your dazzle on it this week. Now, I hope you learned something as always. And remember, science is accessible for everyone. So until next time, I hope you have a glorious day.